following is a very special broadcast brought to you by BigBar Radio. Welcome to Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse with your hosts, Tommy Doomsday, Dunbar, and Jay Rizzo. For the next hour, we will be covering how to survive a zombie apocalypse, what weapons to use, how to defeat your zombie adversary, and much more. Welcome to Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse on Big Bar Radio.
So, have you ever wondered how you could survive a zombie apocalypse? Have you ever wondered what you're gonna do if the zombies start attacking? Well, this is what we would do.
Or at least we're going to give a kind of like open-ended discussion more so about it. We're going to throw around some ideas. We've already covered some. Thank you, George. I just want to say, to start, that there will be things talked about here that might be uncomfortable or unsuitable for some bitch-ass motherfucking viewers.
And there's a lot of bitch-ass motherfucking viewers. Actually, no, there's not a lot.
And there's going to be a lot of, like, hypotheticals. Like, we'll start on with one topic and then be like, yeah, but what if, and continue on with that.
Yes.
And if we get listeners, we might actually take some calls. Why not? Impromptu live broadcast here on Big Bar Radio about what would we do if the zombie apocalypse ever happened here in Seymour, Connecticut.
And if you are listening and you have a suggestion or a better idea, make sure that you hold it until we do maybe open up the phone lines. Because, squids. But it is 11:45 on the East Coast, and you are currently listening to Big Bar fucking radio.
Fucking radio.
And we are uncensored, usually streaming Connecticut local music constantly, all the time. But right now we want to talk about zombie shit.
Yeah, why the fuck not, right?
So
just because we can.
That's your cup of tea. If that's your cup of tea, by all means, take this journey with us.
Yeah, come take the journey, exactly. And where this journey begins is having a couple beers down at Nondescript Bar, a.k.a. Dewey's Pub. And someone walks in and starts going apeshit.
We're going to assume at first that most people would not instantly draw to their mind zombie apocalypse at the first sign of a human being acting like a fool.
Because, I mean, especially if you're at a bar and it's zombies.
Shit pops out, you know what I mean? Like, bars have all kinds of shit. Now, we're talking zombies. Everybody thinks about it, but nobody ever really thinks about it seriously, or how they would even know if a zombie apocalypse was happening. Unless the news media informed you about it on your little television set, which I doubt they would because it would stir great panic among the populace. Unless you heard it somewhere, you wouldn't know what was going on. So, let's give you the grace of being somewhere situated in the middle of the bar, which has a front and rear entrance and exit. You're in the middle area. Some guy walks in the front door, starts going apeshit, starts attacking a patron. What are your first instincts? Holy shit! What the fuck's going on over there? Bartender runs out the door, calls the cops. Fucking, this dude is going to town on this guy. He's getting his ass whooped. But he's fucking this dude up while he's doing it. It doesn't seem to be phasing him that the guy's beating the shit out of him. You know? What happens when he finishes that first guy? And either starts to eat that body or comes after you. Or the next man. What do you do at that point? I'll tell you what you do. You fucking kill that motherfucker. But that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable because most people around you will not get the idea that there's a zombie apocalypse happening. Even this guy, if this guy murdered the guy that he just beat the shit out of, how can you justify murdering him without legal attributes? Let's say that your town is still functional. This one guy comes in infected, and it stems from there. Okay. Let's take it a couple days after this first set event. Okay, you saw some guy go apeshit at a bar. It happens from time to time. You know, you don't give it too much of a second thought. But in the news, you start hearing about more violent crimes and more ridiculous shit happening. You start to think a little bit. Something's not right. Something's kind of funny with these guys.
Yeah, let's really set the hypothetical. You're in a bar. You are hanging out with a couple friends. You're having a great fucking time. And someone walks in acting quite odd.
Yeah, maybe they don't walk in and just start beating the shit out of the first person they see. What if it's a person who is still incubating whatever virus this is and is about in public? Walks into a bar, kind of hunched over, like, you know, guarding their chest because their lungs hurt or something, or whatever the symptoms are. Walks in funny.
So now here's the question we pose to you guys. The person next to you gets attacked and bitten by this person. What do you do? Not really, like, you know, expecting a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, we're going to assume that you don't know it's a zombie apocalypse. Some guy just goes apeshit on a guy next to you. What do you do?
What would you do?
You know what? We might even post this question on the BigBar Productions Facebook page. Feel free to comment with your answer as to what you would do. Or jump in the BigBar chat. I don't know if we're in there right now.
I am in the BigBar chat.
Dunbar is in the chat.
No one is in the chat right now. Unfortunately, no one is listening either.
We just started, but whatever.
It's 11:48, and we are live here on BigBar Radio.
And I'll tell you like this. If the guy next to me just got bit by a fucking guy that wandered in off the street, I might throw a quick kick to try to get the guy off, but if he wasn't getting off, I mean, I would look to the help of the bar people that are there with me. Help me get this guy off of this guy. You know, because I used to be a mall cop.
And I'm sure there'll be one, like, dude or one or two dudes that are going to be right on that shit. Now, let's say they get bitten.
That I'm backing the fuck off and I'm clubbing him with a chair.
But now here's the question. How long does the virus take to incubate?
Let's assume it takes 3 to 7 days.
So then, like, in 3 to 7 days, you're not going to understand, you know, so then the people that get bit from 3 to 7 days from then, they're not going to show any kind of symptoms.
The people that get bit, for the first 3 days will not show any symptoms. Let's assume it's a 7-day virus. First 3 days, you probably won't show symptoms. Second,
sounds like 24.
Next couple days, you'll probably show some symptoms. Last 3 days, you'll probably be falling apart. Not literally, but I mean, you'll be a shell of your former self.
Well, I'm sure in some facet you will be falling apart. I mean, you're
mentally
The Walking Dead.
Well, we're not assuming that they're Walking Dead. By zombies, we're referring to the modern term, which is much more likely biological warfare.
See, I immediately think Walking Dead.
Well, it's pretty much Walking Dead anyway.
But that's just me.
We're gonna say modified rabies, mad cow disease.
Disease, virus kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this guy walks in, bites someone next to you. A couple guys, maybe you included, jump in, pull this fucking dude off this guy. You yourself do not get bit.
Rule number 1, I'm going to be extra cautious about me because some guy just walked in and went ape shit. I don't know what this fucking dude's going to do to me. I'm not putting myself in too much of a harm's way. If I have to, I will put a fucking bar stool around this dude's arms, lock him up in some kind of way against the ground where he's not going to be able to move. I can restrain a motherfucker. Let's assume this guy's got superhuman strength. The other 2 dudes would be helping me. We'd get him on the ground, hopefully. But let's say it didn't go so smoothly and one of the guys got bit. He wouldn't know for 3 days.
Hit it and hold it. Anyway.
So, let's assume that, you know, this little incident happens. The bartender calls the cops, and the ambulance shows up. The cops are getting fought by this dude as well. They stuff him in the back of the ambulance. We don't hear nothing more about it, because that's probably how it would go down. So, a couple days later, let's move on. You see the violent crimes and whatever in the news.
But within those couple days, do you realize it's a zombie attack? You do not.
Of course you wouldn't, dude. You'd think it was just a freak event that occurred at a bar. Some guy went ape shit, you know, whatever. unless you're an extremely paranoid motherfucker like myself,
or me,
you're not gonna be concerned with fucking zombie apocalypse. You're gonna think some drunk guy came in, tried to get some more booze, couldn't get it, turned on some guy. You never know what happened.
Now, at the same time, are like-minded things happening in other parts of the country?
Similar things are happening. Let's say it's secluded to the Northeast, because that's where we are. Let's say other things are starting to happen. You hear some reports about some crazy shit that happened in a subway in New York. Crazy shit that happened in...
Someone goes back home to
New Jersey. Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, you never know, because once something like that hits an airport, everybody's fucked. Just like Ebola.
Well, let's now assume... We're taking a journey here. It's all hypotheticals.
Let's say that you're a frequenter of this bar. A couple days later. Let's say a week later. Give it the time to incubate. Now, these last couple guys that got bit there at the bar...
You go down for like a open mic or something. Let's say at Dewey's Pub.
On Wednesday.
Wednesday nights, you know.
Let's say that, you know, two of the regulars, the guy that helped you restrain this fucker, let's say that they're regulars and they go there often. Maybe they won't go there a couple times that week because they're feeling a little under the weather, but at that point they're coming to a state where their mind is just doing things that are familiar. So maybe they will show up at Dewey's Pub. See these guys walk in and they're looking shitty. Now then your brain might start thinking.
And especially in Connecticut, we have some sort of other drug problems here. Would you be thinking other drug problem? Are these people looking, AKA like crackheads? Or are they looking like zombified motherfuckers?
First thing, my mind would reference the day that I met them. Let's say that the guys do smoke some weed or they do smoke some fucking crack or whatever. You know a crackhead. If you've ever met one, you know what a crackhead looks like.
No doubt.
So let's assume they don't look like crackheads or something that just puts you off. You know that these dudes just got bit by some whack job 7 days ago. That should be a red flag. Coming to a bar looking all fucked up. Let's say when these guys come in, you thinking about that, you sit a little farther away. You know, kind of watch what happens. So, a couple minutes later, shit breaks out. These two guys, you know, let's say one of them showed up. Let's say the other guy didn't show. He's off causing some mayhem somewhere else. This guy shows up, starts fucking acting funny. You got a bad feeling. You go to the bartender maybe. You say, hey, that guy got bit by that dude like last week, you know, blah, blah. He's not looking so good. You put her on edge, but, you know.
See, right there, I'd be like, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Fuck this, I'm out of here?
Yeah, I see some dude that got bitten by another dude a week before, acting all funny. Yeah, my ass is gone.
Alright, let's say you leave the bar, you get in your fucking car, and you drive home. You go to sleep. You don't know nothing about it. Alright, let's escalate the situation. Alright, now you're on your way to work the next day. Let's say you work a 9 to 5, like most typical shows in the country. Alright, so you're on the way to work the next day, and you're driving in the car. You know, you're just fucking doing your thing. You're maybe halfway to your way to work. All of a sudden, one of the cars in front of you starts to drive a little funny. You're thinking, what, is this dude drunk going to work or some shit? It's probably like 8 o'clock in the morning. A little too early for somebody to be swerving around, you know? Car crashes into the side of the road on the side of the highway. Just a little bit in front of you. So as you're driving by, you look over, and the driver of the car kind of looks at you as you're going by, and it unsettles you. Just to add that spooky little touch to the story.
Why not?
You go to work. You're working
hypotheticals.
You're working your day. You know, you're thinking about shit because shit's been really weird lately. You know, maybe a customer comes in and, you know, trips that alarm. Is this guy fucked up? You go home. You watch on the news that there's increasing violent crimes going around. You think that there's talk about the maybe a new gang or some kind of problem going around, you know? So, what do you think maybe at that point you would start to think maybe I should lock my doors at night or take some kind of precaution?
I would definitely start taking some precautions, especially if you see other people starting to act weird. Obviously, from one breeds many. Who knows, after this dude who came to the bar after being bitten a week after that, who knows who else he's come in contact with. Maybe, you know.
Maybe he knows somebody that knows you.
Maybe that dude that came in and bit him bit other people.
Yeah. Maybe that guy was doing some other fucked up shit before he got there.
Exactly. For you people listening on BigBar Radio, jump in the chat room. We want to hear what you have to think. We're going to be opening the phone lines What would you do if a zombie apocalypse popped off here in Connecticut? Why the fuck not?
And I'll tell you like this, you know, a couple things that we're going to be talking about include sanitation, survival, so it's all relevant shit. You might want to definitely stay tuned. I, for one, got to break the seal real quick. Mr. Dunbar, take it away.
Well, in the meantime, I'm going to welcome Lurch from DIU in the chat room. And I'm going to play some music. Stay tuned right here on Big Bar Radio. We're talking zombie apocalypse shit. Actually, before I play the music, Julie, in this whole situation, the scenario we're laying out here, what would your mindset be? What you saw, you know, this guy being bitten, and then 1 week later, he shows symptoms of zombieism or a virus, you know. What would you think immediately if you were privy to that first bite and then you see the same dude 1 week later? Hypothetical again, at an open mic night at Dewey's Pub. What would you think immediately?
I'd freak out. I'd be like, alright, we need to get out of here and we need to formulate a plan to get some supplies and keep on the move. Because the sooner you know, then the faster you can get as far away from the start of it, and you're farther away, so you must be safer, you know?
So
you
now
just have
we're
to keep moving.
So now we're gonna marinate on that point while we do a music segment here. Gathering supplies. Think about the supplies you would gather in a situation like that. We're gonna play a couple songs and come back here. But seriously, think about what materials would you immediately go for if a zombie apocalypse happened.
I'd go for boogers.
He would go with boogers. I might go with some other meaningful things. But we're going to start this musical segment while you think about that.
Wait, are you talking about supplies that we
Supplies.
would gather, or are you talking about
if you
things
actually,
that we have
if you
that we
came,
want to keep?
if you came into the realization,
Okay.
if you came into the realization that yes, there is a zombie apocalypse starting, what supplies would you grab?
Okay,
That's
but
what I want you
also,
guys to
can
think
we
about.
add on to that? What would be like one of the things that you would have to take with you? Because you'd obviously have to keep moving. So what would be one thing that you would take with you that means something to you?
All right, one thing in your personal life that means something to you personally, and how would you, you know, what would
Prepare
you,
yourself.
yeah, how would you prepare? Because you know the 5 P's are.
Proper planning prevents poor performance.
She sounds so excited when she says that. So think about this in this next music break. How would you prepare after you realize that the zombie apocalypse has started? What would you do from that moment on to prepare yourself for the things to come? Marinate on that, and we're going to come back and talk about it right here live on Big Bar Radio. This is Cymatics from BC Connect with a song called Something right here on the home of CT Bass Music, Big Bar Radio. BigBarProductions.com, CT Bass Music. All the time.
All the time.
Julie?
All the time.
All the time? That was so, like...
All
the time!
You almost sounded like a zombie. Doo-doo-ts. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Hey yo, this shit is for real, I hit him and kill. I'm sicker than dick getting licked by a mill. I get you with clips or riffs like the brick, the ridiculous peripheries, what I inhale. Higher than hell, light up an L. Smoke it and zone out so writing prevails. Twisted like licorice sticks and I'm gifted, so sit on your shit till my spitting is frail. Which will be never, rap as I sever, limb to limb, they know that I'm better. Honey's a lover, they fucking me cousin, I'm pumping and dumping my fucking Beretta. No nigga cheddar, drink on my Retta. Fuck what you heard, I'm way too clever. Drunk as a skunk with a trunk full of bump and the thump, so get over your hump, I'm a winner, yeah. Now don't you wanna be? I do, so rap is my food. Eat it and shit some immaculate poo. Abracadabra, my magic, get at you and blast you to Attica. Ask about I knew. I be the dude, rap with a tude, but everything factual, so it is cool. Smash you to fragments like mathematic fractions and actually puzzle you back into you. How does he do the shit that he do? It don't make sense, he breaking the rules. The physics is limited, is infinite distance, so give him a minute, he'll kill your whole crew. Iller than you, iller than you, iller than you, and you. Don't really matter, it's just jibber jabber, they whack us so whack like you asked for, I knew. Yeah. Now don't you wanna be? Yeah, now don't you need to be? Now don't you strive to be? Yeah, I know I do. Don't Get with the kid, it's clipping your rib. Clicking the trigger will split you like twins. Bitch, I am bigger, deliver the shivers and quivers to spitters who thinking they sick. I'm not the shit, I'm the porcelain. Flushing you down and start again. It's written in scriptures, I feed you like pictures and drink my elixir at bars again. Why pretend that you can send an MC here who can defend the title, the rifle, then by who ignites like a lighter will fight and then rise up again. I be the man, so get off my land. I'm more advanced than fucking Japan and move with unusual groups of the ghoulish and really protruded inside of your clan. Yeah. Now this right here, this is... You're damn straight it is. I think I'm in the Matrix flick. These digits is twisting existence is smidgens, but you end up missing the basic shit. I lay this shit like paved cement, so take away these names and bent. I'm thinking they spitting much better than this when I hit them with lyrics, kill them and they friends. Getting my ends is paper trend. I love it, I need it, but it depends on if I can get it without doing business with critics who thinking my shit's pretend. I rap for real, scar and kill. Don't believe me, come to the hill. We flipping this shit like we tripping on Sid and we give it 150%. Yeah. Now don't you wanna be? Now don't you need to be? Yeah, now don't you strive to be? I am alive to be. Now don't you wanna be? Yeah, now don't you need to be? Yeah, now don't you strive to be? I am alive to be.
Once again, back is the incredible. Once again, back is the incredible. Once again. Once again, back is the incredible.
Hey kids, have you ever purchased crack cocaine from a man in a plumber costume? I know I have, and that's bad stuff. That's why I kicked my habit. Instead of smoking crack and throwing the next 40 years of my life away down into the gutter, I'm gonna listen to BigBar Radio on BigBarProductions.com. Free internet radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. CT local music all the time. That's right, I said it, CT local music all the time.
All the time.
So, if you don't understand that, then you've got problems, man.
BigBar Radio on BigBarProductions.com. All the time.
And you done told me about 1,000,000 times how much you love me.
Yeah.
And you through. Start right back in again.
None of your help, want none of your hugs, want none of your wealth, want none of your love. I wanna be left alone to my own vice. Look on my face, snake eyes like some rolled dice. It's cliche to say I'm cold as ice. Solar stripes, so behold the life of a living poltergeist. Naughty, never nice, I'm feeling mistreated. Companionship and affection, now I miss being. You saying shit to me, that's your ass holy meant. You walk around two-faced like Harvey Dent. Though after this next argument, you're gonna need some new teeth that's equipped with some polydent. If you mention my misdeeds of this seed not being carried by your womb, you wanna leave? Please don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you. And since you're looking for someone to blame, check your whore sister and take that sword with you and leave. Heard it all before, now I'm headed for the door. Try to make it right, but we're ruining our life. You can talk all you want, but we know it's all a front. Down the road, man, so but now I gotta go.
What can I say that I haven't said? What could I do to get me and you out of my head? I want it dead cause I'm fed up. Fuck it, no need to headbutt. You was my miss, now you're dismissed. Keep those legs shut, so hope we're self-sufficient. So fuck that whining and that bitching, cause I'm tired of arguing with you in this kitchen. Who wants to wanna wash the dishes when you talking vicious? Now you got me feeling like this ain't on my wish list. I should've known better and all that etc. That one day you be another to try my barrier. It's scary where my head is at. My heart is gone cause I gave it to a song and I don't ever want their feelings back. I got my own plans cause I'm my own man. If you don't like it, there's the door, that's the program. This is one man that you'll never change. So I'm gone so long like poof, alakazam.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children who definitely should not be listening at this time of night, of all ages. We are speaking about what to do, or what would you do hypothetically, various different zombie apocalypse type situations. Feel free to get in the chat room and tell us your ideas as well. Tommy Doomsday over here, kicking it with Dunbar and Jay Rizza. And we're going over some zombie shit.
And we're talking zombie apocalypse hypotheticals. And where we left off was, what supplies would you gather? Generalized supplies. What would you, the first thing, as soon as you realize the zombie apocalypse has happened?
If you were in a bar.
If you were in a bar, yes.
What supplies in the general vicinity, what likely supplies in a bar would you have at your disposal?
Like all good stories, this one starts with, dude, I was so wasted when...
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, let's say the bar has some kind of ornamental bull horns or something. Would you use those? Perhaps an ornamental sign. Would you use that somehow?
Maybe grab a glass bottle of some liquor behind the bar and smash that. This is after a week of witnessing someone getting bitten by a stranger off the street, and then 7 days later, maybe 9 days later,
roughly
9 days
7
before, because he was like 2 days after he realized this crazy motherfucker just got bitten, and he comes back all zombified. Again, the first materials you would gather.
If the outbreak were to start going nuts in a bar while you were there.
So we're gonna go. Instead of doing top 5, we'll do top 3. Just to move this along, since we have 3 of us.
And also one personal item from your home or life that you would bring with you along your way.
And of course, we're gonna start with Mr. Tommy Doomsday, because he seems to have extensive knowledge of this particular subject.
Well, it's a tough one. You'd say bar stool, but some bars have metal stools, like certain pubs. You get a wooden chair, a nice wooden chair. You could break that off into something you could fuck somebody's heads up with. You know what I mean?
So wooden chair would be one.
It would have to be a wooden chair or stool. Adversely, a bottle wouldn't do you too much good because you'd have to get in pretty close range with it. And that would, of course, leave you open for aggression from the horde. Next object I would think of is any overhead lighting or something on a beam, like some kind of light rig, or let's say the bar's not classy like that, doesn't have that kind of thing. Your next available idea would hope the bar has some kind of kitchen area. You could probably go get a broom, but that's not going to do you too good. You're going to want something more sturdy. If you have to, rip some plumbing out from under the sink, get a pipe, see if you can fasten 2 together so it's longer. The longer the better. There's not a whole hell of a lot in a bar that you could use as a weapon. I mean, in the event of a horde. Some bars might have ornamental guitars. These are always good. Anything you can get your hands on that'll do some severe damage to a human being.
Any blunt force trauma object. Seriously, that is always number 1. Any blunt force trauma object or something extremely sharp should be number 2.
Yeah.
Knife, bar stool.
If it's wooden.
Fucking hung and down like a steak. If you're doing vampire shit, you want that.
Also, keep in mind, your ultimate goal when fighting the zombie horde is to sever the head or destroy the brain. And I will repeat that. Sever the head
1.
Or destroy the brain.
2. That's the only way to stop zombies.
Kill the head and the body will die. Kill the head and the body will die. I repeat. When the dead rise and walk the earth, the only means by which to kill them are
1.
Sever the head.
2.
Destroy the brain.
Boom.
And that's the ultimate goal. So that's why a bottle would definitely destroy the brain after a couple good cracks. Permitting you didn't break the bottle. But you would have to be in at such close distance, and you would only be able to focus on one close target, leaving you open from all other angles if you get grabbed by that undead freak. So, bottles are not a good thing.
So that's number 1. Weapons of any kind. Blunt force trauma or anything that's going to sharpen and... You can slice and sever the head. Again...
Or stab through. Puncture
stab
wounds,
through.
Such as a flagpole. A flagpole. If you get a nice, good little flag thing, you could probably use that as some type of javelin. I'm not sure if you would be able to puncture clean through somebody's torso with such an item, but I know that if you do a couple precise strikes at somebody's jugular or neck area, you will definitely snap whatever frail bones lie within.
So one would be definite offensive tools.
You definitely want a long-ranged object. Flagpole would be perfect for that, permitting it was a sturdy enough flagpole.
Basically any weapons of any kind.
And that doesn't go to say to rule out obstructions. I mean, if the zombie horde, say it approaches, say you're in there and somebody didn't come from before and was bit. Say it was just a horde of street roaming zombies, 3 to 4 of them. that could do a lot of havoc in a place where people aren't expecting zombies as company. You're going to think, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? That's going to be the first thought. The next thing you're going to think is these dudes are freaking out. The next thing you're going to think is, what the fuck, I'm going to keep them from getting to me. So use these metal bar stools or chairs that you're not using as bludgeoning objects to obstruct the path of the living dead to you. Don't be afraid to topple over a dart machine, a Coca-Cola dispenser, any sort of stand-up item such as a jukebox that might obstruct the living dead for at least a few seconds, giving you that vital leeway to get your cardio in.
Boom. It's all about that cardio. And number 2, we're going to go with number 2. I think, Tom, you got one?
I want to replace number 1 bludgeoning items. I want to move that down to number 2 and replace that, which is what ultimately should be number 1 in the case of a zombie outbreak in a bar. The alcohol in the bottles. Fire. Fire destroys zombies like what? I know this is an atrocious thing to suggest, permitting that you could burn all sorts of wooden things inside the joint. But if there were to be 3 or 4 zombies taking out some dudes and you're overwhelmed and overpowered, first thing, run to the bar if it's a safe thing to do, or use the shot on the table. Get a bottle of some high-proof alcohol, start sloshing it around, and light that shit. Obstructing your way with the objects I have described beforehand. Also, those could make a large wet. If you drop a jukebox on a zombie, I'm sure it's going to fuck it up.
Yeah,
so,
again, destroy the head, destroy the body.
Yeah, you kill the head and the body will die. Now, push these things in the way of these zombies, light the place, try to find an egress route. Now, don't be surprised if there's zombies on the other side of that door. What did you just learn from the happening in the bar? Zombies could come into your life at any time. Any time. You could be taking a shit, and a zombie could walk into the bathroom. You can never know. So, before you exit that bar, make sure you have some kind of melee weapon.
And so that's number 2.
Yeah.
Mr. Doomsday, what would be your number 3 in case of the zombie apocalypse happened?
When all else fails, do not be afraid to resort to throwing things. You will not do as serious an amount of damage to the zombie, but you will definitely piss it off and slow it down. For instance, if I were to throw a stool, a bar stool, at a regular human being and hit them in the face or head with it, they would most likely fall down and probably be concussed or bleeding. Throwing things is a very valuable thing, and it can buy you the time that you need to get into that kitchen or get into that tool closet and get whatever it is you need. Keep in mind that sometimes your only option is to buy time. You cannot fight 300, 3,000 zombies by yourself.
Never. Never. Now, if you are with a group of friends at that bar, always dictate jobs.
Immediately grab everyone by the balls and tell them what to do. Most people will freak out in the event of a zombie apocalypse. You have to be on top of this because a loose cannon as a friend could get you killed.
Boom.
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 Keep in mind, look for emo kids because they probably can't handle that shit. Look for keep an eye out, especially for the geeky kids. I mean, they say they know a lot about it, but they're really loose.
They don't know shit. They're looking at. They believe vampires shimmer
sparkle
in the fucking light.
You know, another thing. Look out for Twilight kids and kill them just on the kind of principle. Vampires are undead too. Not acceptable. Unacceptable. Who knows? Maybe
completely unacceptable.
Vampires and zombies have something to do with it. Never mind that. But keep an eye out for the loose wink. Let's say that you're there at the bar with 2 or 3 friends, and you're all sitting towards the middle. The breakout happens in the front. You tell Charlie, start throwing shit in front of these guys. You tell Jimmy, go grab the bottle of alcohol.
Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, you tell Billy, give me your lighter. You get the bottle, you throw the fucking shit. Come on, guys, let's go. There might be people outside this door, so let's be on our toes. You know, get them ready. Grab something. Let's beat somebody. And most of the time, a bunch of rowdy, drunk dudes will want to go and beat stuff. So, I mean, zombie apocalypse isn't ultimately bad in all fronts.
Let me put it this way. We got a lot of hostility built up within us anyway, because it's a primal instinct to be full of rage. And, you know,
I don't know about a primal
think about
instinct.
where we came from.
I do want to say that it is a human reactive behavior to the negative world that we live in. That is completely acceptable. But, I mean, if we weren't in such a negative world where everybody was getting by, I don't think there would be so much need for that shit.
So now here's the scenario. You got your supplies. What do you do next? And we're going to cover that right here live on BigBar Radio. It is August 25th. It's officially Wednesday here on the East Coast, 12:24 a.m. And we're going to get back into the music while we marinate on that. You got your supplies. What do you do next? We're going to bring this musical interlude in with some Curtain Hits Cast. Song called Closer right here on BigBar Radio, BigBarProducts.com, CT-based music all the time.
anticipate and run, 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 run.
My time is falling and you are waiting. I hope you're suffering anticipating. My time is falling and you are waiting. I hope you're suffering, suffering.
You know what, man? If all my enemies were dicks that needed to be sucked, I don't give a fuck how straight I am. I'd be sucking mad dick!
Big Bar Radio on BigBarProductions.com. All the time.
No homo!
The other morning when I went to the general store, I asked the clerk for something for my home. He said, hey man, I don't got what you need, because this is cultography. And I say, Constitution, revolution, yeah, yeah. Constitution, wow, yeah. We're in a world when we thought we could be free. Guess it was lying, I'll see. Billy Joe was a man from half-time Galway. He said, hey man, I just lost my job today. They took my kids and stole my fucking car. He said, hey man, this is cultography. And I say, Constitution, revolution, yeah, yeah. Constitution, wow, yeah. We're in a world when we thought we could be free. Guess the end it was lying, I see. Mother Mary, won't you help us with the sins? God only knows what trouble we're getting in. We got war and famine wearing us way, but all I gotta say is cultography. And I say, Constitution, revolution, yeah, yeah. Constitution, wow, yeah. In a world when we thought we could be free, guess the end it was lying, I see.
Just like, you know, you being here with Northeast Wrestling is, you know, and that's really great. Actually, Hacksaw, I've got a favor.
Sure.
Personally, we have a listener from California who couldn't be here with us at this event. His name is Designated Dave. Can I just get a ho for Designated Dave?
Designated Dave, this hole's for you, young man. Let's go, guys. Ho!
Thank you so much for talking to us, Hacksaw.
My
You're the
pleasure.
man.
Is your brother okay in the hospital?
Yes, he is, sir.
Tell
And
him
when
I
he hears
said
this,
hello.
I will. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
for your time, Max.
My pleasure, fellas.
done it many times before, waiting for a man to rip his key into the door. Never there to witness the anger and the sadness, crying and the worry that led along to madness. Lie awake and waiting for the one I love the most. I'm waiting on her presence, yeah, I'm waiting on her ghost. Ask her for forgiveness for the things that I did to her, the man I always was, and all the things we never were. Some say when you die you see the hurt you put 'em through, but she's coming to midlife to show me things I never knew. Yeah, I'm waiting on her presence, waiting to do penance, living out my sentence. Yeah, I'm waiting on her ghost. Well, I said about retiring, and I know I'll get reminded. And even though it's dark, I know the truth, it will be blinding. She's coming with a message like she always tried to do. Never heard it then, but woman, now it's coming through. Some say when you die you see the hurt you put 'em through, but she's coming to me live to show me things I never knew. Yeah, I'm waiting on her presence, waiting to do penance, living out my sentence. Yeah, I'm waiting on her ghost. Some say when you die you see the hurt you put 'em through, but she's coming to me live, showing me things I never knew. Yeah, I'm waiting on her presence, waiting to do penance, living out my sentence. Yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting on her ghost.
Alright, so you're in a bar and a zombie apocalypse takes place. We covered the needed materials and basic things you're going to grab. We
To
talked
break
about
yourself out of that situation if you're in a bar and a zombie apocalypse just happens to mosey its cozy little way into your life. The top 3 items were alcohol using for fire, bludgeoning objects such as flagpoles and chairs that might be able to be broken into a bludgeoning item, and when all else fails, obstructive heavy objects such as dart machines and jukeboxes to buy you enough time to get out.
And again, this is assuming it started in the front of the bar. There's an exit in the back, if need be.
There will undoubtedly be more situations where you'll have to figure out what to do. But
again, this is just one situation and one hypothetical situation you might find yourself in if a zombie apocalypse does break out.
So you and your couple friends managed to get out of this bar via the back door. There's always the possibility that outside that back door there could be a horde of zombies there that are just going to kill you. We're going to assume that that's not the case for the sake of continuing what to do, because that would just be one of those luck things. There's nothing you could do about that. Let's say in the event that you were running out the back of the bar, you were smart enough to think, let me grab a bottle of some really flammable alcohol on the way out. You know, most people wouldn't picture that idea, but it's definitely on the to-do list if you're in a bar when it breaks out, or if you're in a bar when anything breaks out and you're fighting people that are unarmed or armed with knives or something, you know, not guns because obviously they'll shoot you. Grab some alcohol. It's a great weapon, as long as you have fire.
And it's an antiseptic.
It's an antiseptic, and it gets you fucked up when you're miserable because you have to think about how you killed Billy, your next door neighbor, because he was going to turn.
Exactly.
Another thing for later when we're talking about like supplies that we need to go on the road, don't forget batteries and lighters. Those are two
and
really
food,
important things.
and some kind of food material that is non-perishable. Tuna.
We're going to get into that.
We're getting there. We're getting
I
there.
know, but I'm excited about that part.
It's 12:32 on the East Coast.
We're going to say that you're outside the back door of this bar and you don't have shit for supplies. And this just hits you, you know, as you're going out the back. You're like, oh my god, if this is what I think it is, the whole world is fucked. You're looking around, you hear sirens and shit. The feeling in the air is pandemonium. You can kind of tell when that shit's going on, you know? So, you have a couple options. You can either attempt to go back into the bar, which is an awful idea.
Completely awful
idea. Or you could try to venture out in the street. Regardless, let's assume you're behind this bar and the only way to get out to the street is to go around the building to the front of the bar. What if the crazies in the bar manage to pour their way back out? But let's assume that they're still in there fucking up whoever's stupid enough to stay in the bar, or whoever's still alive that you didn't set on fire in the process. You get around to the front of the building and close the door. There's exposed fucking glass. They're going to probably jump out at you. At this point, you're going to have to make a run for it. In most locations where there's bars, there's often a business establishment or something across the street. We're going to assume it's late at night. You're going to have to break and enter. You're going to have to disregard a lot of the law systems that are set up at this point because it's survival. You're going to need shelter. You're going to need supplies. These things are running through your head, after you... Let's say that through some creative means, you manage to...
Oh, the journey we're going on, by the way.
Let's say you have to cross a small bridge, which is located directly outside the bar. In doing so, you manage to pick up whatever bludgeoning item and bludgeon the 4 or 5 zombie dudes that were trying to fuck you up off the edge of the bridge. They're out of the picture. Now you're in a town. There may still be traffic on the streets. There may still be people that have no idea this is happening. You're going to have to figure out a way to get supplies. In the event that there is still people that don't know this is happening, there may be a way for you to get to your car, which you ultimately drove to the bar in, and that would explain you getting away from the zombies even better. You go to your house. Let's say you get to your house.
We do not endorse drinking and driving, by the way.
By the way, yeah. In the event of a zombie apocalypse, I'm going to drink and drive a lot, though.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's say you take your car after exiting the back door of the bar, and you get to your house with your crew or by yourself. Regardless, you're going to have to talk about supplies, rationing, how long you could live on set supplies. Top 5 foods you want to bring during zombie apocalypse. We're going to say 1, canned food. You got vegetables, you got meats,
tuna,
you got fucking
Chef Boyardee
soups. Providing you could get water, or you could just eat the sodium-enriched whatever item you can.
If you could gank some, Hungry Man shit, beef stew shit, you don't have to really heat it up. That kind of shit you want to grab.
So we're saying canned food is number... we'll put that as a number 2, because above all should be number 1, which is ultimately most important, water. Your human body needs water to survive. When you run out of water, you are fucked.
And if you find yourself in a position where you have no water, try to get to where water is. And if any case you get where water is, boil that fucking water. You don't want to get any toxins.
Let's say the toxin was released through the water, possibly.
Who knows? Body's going to fall in the water supply.
Decaying bodies in the water supply will create disease.
Boil your water, sanitize your water, and then you will be safe from that.
When it comes to food, at the point of a zombie apocalypse, the shopping marts are going to be swamped with people. You could either make your luck down there trying to get whatever supplies you can before the rest of the world decides it's important for them to steal the shit too, or you can go resort to hunting and trapping.
And if you find it absolutely necessary to use capitalist shit, go to the convenience stores and your mom and pop stores, because they're going to be the ones that people don't think of going to. They're, of course, they're going to go to the Stop and Shop and to.
And it sucks that we're telling you to rob from a mom and pop, but if the zombie apocalypse has happened, see if you
Exactly.
can work something out.
And any other situation, do not rob or steal from the mom and pop. You'd have to pay a couple extra dollars or a couple extra cents or something.
Go to Costco, rob them blind, and then work out a deal with your local mom and pop. Be like, I know you got cartons of cigarettes. I'll trade you this, or I'll keep your parking lot zombie free. Every time I come here, I'll shoot some zombies, whatever. You give me cigarettes.
Or find a local farm or something.
Yeah, also a good idea. As far as number 3 on the supplies chain, you're going to want to think of batteries and things to operate electronic devices. Batteries/gasoline, like Miss J. Rizza said. Batteries for flashlights, various other things you might need, like a hot plate. Let's say you can't, find a plug that works because electricity goes out, which we'll get into later. You're going to want to have some kind of backup fuel reserve. Number 4. You're going to want to look for any kind of first aid or sanitary equipment you can get.
Essential.
Because infection and disease can spread rapidly if you're not sanitary and the world around you is not sanitary. So keep that in mind at all times. And ultimately, 5th, I would have to say last, any clothing that you could manage to comfortably figure out a way to carry with you. Maybe a bedroll, a blanket or something, because it's going to be rough out there. And you're going to need your basic essential shit if it gets cold. And, maybe some... I would look into that being my outfit, per se. I would get a nice coat that'll keep me warm, some waterproof footgear. You never know what situations you're going to end up in.
Basically, if you can't carry it on your back, it ain't worth fucking grabbing.
Yeah, because your car will eventually run out of gasoline, and how are you going to get gasoline if there's no electricity to pump your gas, or if there's no cars around to siphon it from? So, what you can carry is ultimately what you should bring.
And now, the next step would be to find some kind of refuge,
Shelter.
some kind of shelter.
Shelter is ultimately a very difficult thing. There's pros and cons to each situation. You get something on ground floor, you could easily be overrun, but you can easily escape. You get something on top, you could easily defend your position, but you could get fucking stuck.
You could definitely not escape.
Yeah. There's a lot of different stipulations. Low ground or high ground. Underground. Where do you go? Inside a building? Do you lock it down? What happens when the building gets infiltrated? Do you have escape routes, egress routes? And if you did, are there safe places you could go? Do you have a getaway scheme? This is all part of your shelter idea. You got to think about this in depth, because this is where you're going to be spending a lot of your time during the zombie apocalypse. You're not going to have no Xbox. You're not going to have TV to keep you. You're going to be out there watching for your life. Every time you have to go out and get supplies in the world, it's going to be a dangerous event.
And the next step in the process is finding like-minded individuals that understand what is going on. Because even if they don't understand what's going on, finding people who
are alive and not crazy trying to kill you.
Exactly. Form yourself a community of people who are going to defend whatever circle you're in. Even if you take up residence.
Friends, family, neighbors.
Anything.
Strangers that walk in.
Take up residence in a woods or something, just so you have a perimeter of people watching out for the community itself
at all times.
At all fucking times.
A good idea of a place to seek refuge would be a house or a complex that has walls or fences, as it will be more difficult for the living dead to walk over the fences than it would be for just them to walk in the grass. Although they would be able to climb.
Okay, but if you get more people, doesn't that mean more chance of one of them getting infected and then it's spreading within your community?
It also means more supplies being taken.
Well, yeah, but you have to make sure that you could set up something where they wouldn't ever have to be in contact with them, like where they can get bit.
Essentially, that's the whole hope for walls. Like some apartment complexes have a gate or a walled area. Those would be a good place to go. Any apartment complex with a double security system, where like they have a buzz lock or something, is one of the places you might want to consider for locking down. Although you will still be trapped. Places with walls holding it in. Apartment complexes have could keep out the zombie invasion to a certain extent. You still want to have a way to get out though, just in case your place gets overrun. And a car or a vehicle that is full of gasoline. I recommend gas cans. Get as much gasoline as you can stocked up, even though you have to pay the goddamn gas companies. Stock it up. You're going to need it eventually. Shelter.
Sorry.
Let's move on to shelter before we wrap this up. Shelter, you want a nice, sturdy place, preferably with multiple ways out that could be barricaded from the inside when not in use. A third-floor apartment, per se, may not be such a good idea because while you're defending one side, the other side could be vulnerable. Let's assume
any floor apartment is probably not an essential.
If you're in the middle, it could be even worse because you got your neighbors upstairs that could get infected and try coming down at you. You got your neighbors downstairs. You want to think about these things. Think about your neighbors. What if one of them wanders out of the house as a zombie and tries to get into your house because it's a familiar place? You could be fucked. But think about this. If your neighbor comes over and tries to kill you, you kill him. That means his house next door is open for you too. Let's talk about supply running through different shelters. Seeking shelter on the run. If you know a neighborhood that got wiped out, every single one of those houses most likely has rations and leftovers in it that you could use. Keep in mind that moving your location will ultimately have its pros and cons as well. Different houses have different amounts of security. Also, you may not be familiar with the environment and you may get fucked. You want to keep that in mind. But it is also important.
Yeah, you don't want to have like the Dahmer party taking a shortcut and then having to eat your boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
So be aware of your surroundings and always have a possible escape route.
I just want to pause real quick and say hi to Katie and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Katie.
Boom.
Most definitely. Katie, if you want to jump in the chat room, where would you look for shelter? My top 3 places are going to be...
Actually, we have someone in the chat room called I Rape Zombies.
I Rape Zombies. Hello. Necrophilia. That's a very interesting human trait. Only humans do that. You don't catch animals doing that. I respect that you're open about that. We're gonna go into the top three places for shelter that I would consider. You look back at films, what places have they used so far? Military bunkers, malls, houses. Let's look at these first 3 options. Military bunker most likely is going to be out of the question. There's no way you're getting in one of those because there's probably soldiers on the inside still breathing, fucking muttering shit about red, white, and blue and fucking America and freedom annex. But let's say a mall. A mall could be a good idea if you could figure out a way. A certain mall in the area I happen to know the in and out of very, very well. Would I go there now thinking back on it? No, I would not, because it's lots of glass. There's lots of glass doors and that shit breaks. You know that. You get enough people pushing on a glass window, that shit's gonna break. It might kill the first people it falls on, but there's more that could come through right there. So that's not a good idea. You don't want to go to a place that's really big and really open. You want to go for a place, maybe a hotel where you could lock stairwells. But even there, that's the possibility that there could be infected people in that place. Really, ultimately, there is no safe place. But you want a place with multiple egress routes and different places where you could find refuge and supplies. For instance, a police department, if you could figure out a way into there, I'm sure there would be lots of valuable supplies in there. But
an armory, number 1.
But also,
that'd be on my list right there.
Once you're inside, if an infection, if they infiltrated, you'd be fucked because that's a very well put together place where people aren't supposed to be able to escape from. So there's pros and cons to everything. Let's talk, for instance, maybe a hospital. That'd be an awful idea. Because there'd be plenty of zombies in there. Restaurant. Not a very good idea.
Nah.
Very
Basically,
open.
the idea you want to do is just keep fucking moving, man. You lose some people, keep moving. Because chances are you're going to run into someone else that's going to help you out, be part of the community. Stay in the community. Be in another cluster
Also,
is key. Like a little army, and you know,
and
just to combat just regular bullshit. Even if the horde is coming at you, you got someone on the perimeter.
Yeah,
and then if again, downtime, you have a little bit of a, you know.
Now, if you get this little army, keep in mind that if you were to move to a wooded area, there would most likely be less zombies because there would be less human population there. Most likely the zombies will not stagger off into the woods. They'll chase after things that they see that are alive, like cars or people in them. The woods is a good place to go if you know a nice reserved spot in the woods. You could probably set up a nice camp out there. Perimeter, build some fences out of trees and shit. Hopefully you don't get overrun while you're doing that. Then you have a nice spot where you could defend. But a lot of times you're not going to have enough people together where you could put together a little woodland community. So you're going to have to... I recommend getting some books on hunting, trapping, survival, how to survive in different climates, erecting shelters of different sorts, you know, that kind of stuff.
And again, that you know,
first aid.
We make jest when we talk about zombie apocalypse. This just doesn't apply to
zombie apocalypse. I mean,
obviously.
Any kind of invasion. Let's say a prison broke free and there's a bunch of unarmed or moderately armed guys running around.
Let's say there's an A-bomb that goes off.
Let's say that there's hideous mutated rodents trying to claw in your door because of radiation.
AKA the government.
You know, it could be anything. It could be a gang. You know, it could be fucking an angry mob. You know, you never know. It could be fucking terrorist invasion. It's always good to have a plan of what to do when shit hits the fan.
When the funk hits the fan, and that's exactly what we're talking about here on BigBar Radio.
Yeah. And it's important to be able to think outside the box on this. A lot of people, when talking about this, they talk about places they would go, as if one place would be better than another.
And that's actually one of the first things that I thought. This conversation, let's be honest, this conversation started down at a bar, and like somehow after some tobacco use only, of course, we started the conversation of like what would happen, what would you do if the zombie apocalypse started? And you know, you could apply it to everything, a lot of different scenarios, and everything we talked about could be used in a different survival situation.
Yeah, if necessary.
If absolutely necessary, of course.
But keep in mind that during the first stages of any kind of ridiculous thing, be it a military police state installed by the government, or a zombie apocalypse, or a prison breakout, nobody's going to realize it's happening until it's too late. So it's always good to have a plan, because proper planning prevents poor performance.
It's the 5 Ps, people.
The 5 Ps. Before. I don't remember where.
Designated Dave in the chat room.
Designated Dave.
On a off Tuesday night.
Designated Dave would chop the zombies into the San Andreas Fault.
Oh, he would. And he's going to chop our asses into the San Andreas Fault all the way over here on the 3,000 miles away on the East Coast.
That makes
when he comes
zero
here
sense at all. I love it.
He's going to chop us everywhere, man.
He's going to chop us across
the yeah, this is a drunken conversation here on BigBar Radio about the zombie apocalypse. And thank you guys for tuning in and taking this journey with us. Why the fuck not, right? Seriously.
All right.
We got yawning people. And,
Tommy Doomsday has to leave in approximately 6 to 7 minutes. But Tommy Doomsday has thoroughly enjoyed this event and looks forward to more ridiculous conversations in the future.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
But, you know, shelter is very important because it's one of the essential needs of human life. However, you're not always going to have that, because when you're in the zombie apocalypse, you're going to spend some time on the road.
Always. Bless you. It's all about... I think Tommy has the virus.
I'm infected.
Tommy has the virus.
No, I could have just fucked you guys. That could have been the virus right there coming to get you.
That could have been, actually. Who knows?
We'll find out in like a week or two.
It might come from our food. It might come from our eggs.
Hey, I mean, if
might come from water with all that fluoride and
if the
whatever else in there.
if the rich elite really wanted to wipe off the populace, all they got to do is give themselves a vaccine and
flu shots.
Make
What?
a zombie apocalypse.
Flu shots, huh? What's in flu shots?
Mercury and
yeah,
shit.
what?
Yeah, bad stuff.
We could go all day, but you know what? We're not going to go all day.
We're talking about zombie apocalypse.
We're not going to be going all night. I do have a morning coffee to do in the morning at 10 a.m.
And I've got to squid my uncle.
But in the meantime, our motherfucking asses, our motherfuckers' asses, our motherfuckering asses. That was like a 3P right there. That was cool. We're going to call it a fucking night here on BigBar Radio.
Yeah, it is probably a good idea. I mean, I got a stuffy nose and I need to go home and sleep and, you know, fight my life. Maybe eat some breakfast in the morning, do a tattoo or two.
But now you know
the first couple things you want to think about
exactly.
when it comes to a zombie apocalypse.
Exactly, you know.
Maybe next time we'll go over different starting circumstances because when the zombie apocalypse hits you, you want to be ready anywhere you are.
And on that note, be safe out there, and we will see you again soon for another very special broadcast right here on the home of CT-based music all the time.
And this concludes our Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse special broadcast on BigBar Radio. Stay tuned for upcoming special broadcasts like this one. Thank you for listening to BigBar Radio and for listening to Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse.